Today, December 21st, 2016, is a very special day. It's the 70th birthday of Jutta, who was my first pen pal back in 1963 when I lived in Columbia, South Carolina, and she lived in Detmold, Germany. If you've heard me talk about how South Pacific changed my life, you know that back in 1963, my dad wouldn't even buy a Volkswagen because he didn't want to support the reindustrialization of Germany. But I could tell from Jutta's letters that she was not a Nazi. She was more likely to have been a member of the Von Trapp family, inclined to climb every mountain to escape the Nazis. And she was a person from another country who spoke another language, but she wrote in English to me, and I was in awe of her, and still am. We first met in 1997, and here you can see her with my dad that summer, when her whole wonderful family was making a trip, their first trip to the United States. And see how my dad and Jutta are getting along? Since then, she and I have met in and around Paris, Bremen, and Switzerland. This 70 is formed by photos of Jutta and the envelopes holding her letters. Here we are in Paris last September when we shared an apartment with my good friend Annie. Here we're toasting to her son Jan, who was turning 40 that day. Here's a table full of her letters and postcards from 1963 to 2016, as well as the third volume of the diary we share. Pictures of the friends who've delivered our shared diary, and pictures of Jutta, including one of her showing the books on tour around the world and the volume she created in 2003 for women to express their thoughts about peace. That was soon after the United States attacked, invaded, and occupied Iraq. I love the way she's always illustrated her letters and the envelopes holding the letters or the diary we shared. I've also really enjoyed meeting the people who've carried our diary from Germany to France, to San Francisco and back, managing somehow to squeeze it into their luggage. These have usually been Jutta's German friends, Marianne twice, Sigi, Ute, Monica, Karin. But once my friend Nicole carried it all the way to Mali, where Nicole was attending a music festival and Jutta was working with Malian teachers. From time to time, we've been able to bring our shared diary to each other, too. I brought it to Bremen when Javier and I visited her and her husband Andreas in 2011, and Jutta brought it to Switzerland when she and I made a pilgrimage to one of our favorite writers, Alex Capu, in 2014. I also brought it to Paris this past September when Jutta joined Annie and me and was reading the latest book in German by Alex Capu. Here's Jutta's first letter sent from Germany to South Carolina in 1963. She was a year younger than I was then, and she still is. Couldn't she have caught up with me in all these years? When Jutta turned 60, I made this 6 and 0 from her letters. This year, I can do that online. But the fact is, the handmade numbers are better, however crude. Here are more of Jutta's beautified envelopes, and these are postcards from her walks on the Camino de Santiago de Compostela, Chemin de Saint-Jacques, which had a special meaning to me this year because a friend I took the last part of the route this past September with, I did this when I was 70 myself. I can tell where I lived by the letters from Jutta and how often I moved. See what beauty she brings to everything she touches. Here's Jutta in 1964, about a year after we became pen pals. Here's Jutta in 1968. Here she is with her family in Betsy, whose in-law she, Andreas, and Max stayed in 1997. Here's Beth hosting Jutta and her family the same year. In or just outside of Paris with Annie and other French friends. At Giverny with Annie, Michel, Agnes, and me. Part of a collage of our stay with her and Andreas in Bremen. A collage of our pilgrimage to see Alex Capu. Jutta had already met him at a book reading in Bremen and another in Hamburg, where he signed our shared diary. Then the incredible meeting up in Zurich that Jonathan, my son, coordinated for us so we could arrive in Olten, Switzerland together on my first trip after retirement in September 2014. Here's Jutta with Alex Kapu and his wife, Nadia. It's funny that our pilgrimage to see Alex Kapu included his Bar Galicia, the region in Spain where my friend Bill and I did the last 110 miles of the Orthodox pilgrimage. Here's Jutta waving goodbye in Olten. Here we are with Betsy and Sal and Annie in Paris this past September, and then sharing the books we bought at Fnac, a big bookstore in Paris where we went browsing together for books in French. Here's Jutta with Annie, trying to figure out how to get to the next vegetarian-vegan restaurant we'd eat at in Paris. As we walked and walked and walked, we kept saying we're almost there. Long before, when Jutta, Annie, and I were together in Annie's house outside Paris, we were gathering up cherries and started to sing Le Temps de Cerise. And I thought how wonderful it was that we knew the same songs. Jutta said that her grandmother had offered the sage advice that we should all furnish our heads as well as our homes. And I think that's what Jutta has done. She has a lot of really good furniture in her head, or wherever such things are stored. I've mentioned that she's worked with Malian teachers in the past and connected her German-French students with Malian students whom they got to meet after being pen pals for a while. Now she's tutoring refugees from Syria, the ones who are too traumatized to attend regular classes. In Paris this past September, Jutta gave me a blank third volume for our shared diary and told me to write big. I thought she was thinking of our aging eyes, but she said she was thinking about time. She wanted us to finish the first volume. I think we'll go way beyond that. So here's a toast to Jutta, the world's most incredible pen pal. It's been a joy to know you, Jutta, from 17 to 70 and on.